So a new class amongst the Africans starts to emerge, a privileged class of the BEE tycoons, which we used to call the usual suspects, like our president, who were the beneficiaries of these BEE deals and became billionaires. I mean, they were actually not producing anything. They were riding on the back of the struggles of the millions of South Africans.
Sure. Yeah.
So they created a narrative that if I become a billionaire, somehow you benefit. Now the people are realizing that actually they benefit and we don't benefit.
Yeah.
But now it's very difficult to move yourself out of that. So they've captured the state. The ANC government has the ANC has captured the state. It is paying its civil service phenomenal salaries, but to pay those phenomenal salaries, you have to tax the economy. So the economy is unable to create new jobs because you are taking away the resources that it needs and giving them as high. So the unemployment is going up and up, but these are the same people you want to vote for you. But you are making them more unemployed. You are making them more poor. And now you pass a VAT law to increase VAT by 2%. So you have some sob story about how it won't affect you and so on. So that's the trap which the ANC has caught itself in.
Good evening, guys. Good evening. Once again, welcome to South Africa Lately, a channel that discusses South African trending news. We do, however, grab here and there from international news when it is trending enough to be brought here. Please do understand that I'm not a politician. I do not have deep knowledge in politics. However, I am a South African citizen who is also a voter, and I do believe that my views count when it comes to political affairs of our beautiful country. You see, Moeletsi Mbeki, all the time when they interview him, I ensure to listen, and most of the time he speaks sense, and sometimes he just be saying things that like, no, but brother, no, don't go that direction, especially when it comes to putting us black South Africans under the bus. He doesn't hesitate. I like the fact that he's able to criticize the ANC openly, criticize even AFRIFORUM, whom he said is like a mosquito, but then came again and defended them and said, no, there must be no treason charges against AFRIFORUM because of free speech, and attempted there, if not actually did it, attempted comparing what was happening for the liberation of the people in this country to what AFRIFORUM is doing today. And I was like, that is not palatable in my mind. No, don't go that way, don't. But anyway, guys, I want to share my own views with this. So I'm going to share my own story, debunking what Moeletsi Mbeki said there, because he is portraying South Africans as the people who are lazy and ready to get percentages from the businesses of white people that we don't deserve, businesses that we didn't pay towards, because he is criticizing BEE. He said we must discard that. And for a moment I was like, oh, this guy is one of the people that did not benefit from BEE laws, you know, our leaders. I'm going to include him as one of our leaders because he's a brother to former President Mbeki. That's one. And also he is doing something in this country, something that brings him a lot of money. So for me, you are part of the leadership of the country. See now. And I became suspicious. I was like, no, I need to find out more about this guy. I find out his net worth and stuff like that. I couldn't find anything, I'm telling you. But there's something that I bumped into. And I thought, I'm going to bring it here. It's going to change your mind in the way you see him after saying what he said. Because it feels like these are the people now, after benefiting from BEE, the ordinary people must not. I'm telling you right now, I'm yet to see, at least within my circle, the people, a black person that has benefited from BEE fair and square. Fair and square, without being harassed that I want kickbacks, I want this and that. I don't even know the one that kickbacks were asked from. So I'm just saying, I don't know the people. I'm one of the people that are pushing in this life, but sometimes you get hit on the wall doing things that could change your life. You see, especially when it comes to means of production. I'm going to share that. Yes, I'm going to share it. Please bear with me as I continue. But I want to read something. And also there's a story that I want to share before I read this about Moeletsi. Please just stay with me. Our government over the years have messed up land redistribution, I'm telling you, because there are farms that they took from white people, whether they bought them out, whatever, but there has been land that was taken and that is in their hands. I think they bought it because the story that I'm about to share involves willing buyer, willing seller, willing buyer, you see, something like that. So this white man who was a farmer was ready to sell his farm to the government, which he did. And when he was about to move, move from South Africa because he was ready to go overseas, his family already left, the wife and the children left. So he told the government, okay, where's the guy that you want me to train and so that he can take the land over? The guy did not come. You see, because they chose people that they prefer because they were going to benefit behind them. So that person that they chose was not interested in that farming. Please stay with me. This is not the case about other black people. There are black people who are actually doing very well in farming. So that person never came. And you know what they said? The government said, okay, please stay on the farm. We will pay you the caretaker's salary. So now here's a farmer that has already gotten his payday selling his farm to the government. He's now getting the caretaker's salary from the government, and they also gave him permission to commercially farm in that farm. I don't know how that is going. It's a story that I heard. I wish I could do a follow-up so that I know more. So when you look at these things, you just know that corruption is involved and things are not happening the way they are supposed to. And I want to tell white people now, first of all, I appreciate the white people that understand that we are all South Africans and see the plight of black people even in the hands of our own black leadership. I want to tell you a story. I don't know anyone that has benefited from BEE. I don't know. Because even the things that we do, amazing things that we do, we get stuck in means of production. Julius Malema was right. I'm going to tell you my story after reading this about Moeletsi that is going to change your mind and realize, like, no, so better you. So people have eaten and they don't want us to go there. We have been trying to get our hands on that cookie jar for years and we're still not successful. And those who are wiping their mouths are like, oh no, child, scrap this thing now, no more BEE, take this thing and check it. I do agree with the fact that BEE has to have a time frame that we start in 2025, and then by 2050 we are done with this. We are going to work in it so that we are done and we compete equally regardless of race, color, whatever. You see, when they say black people benefit from BEE, I'm one of those people that did not benefit from BEE. I'm still not benefiting. The doors are closing right in front of my eyes. When I have something good that I'm doing, and because of means of production, I cannot move any further. Anyway, I was like, yo, can you see again? So as I decided to check something about him because he was so suspicious in that interview, I was like, let me check his net worth. I couldn't find anything. Very interesting. I couldn't. But the story that I found that is going to make you say that, all right, the court papers served in an acrimonious dispute between Moeletsi and Mbeki and his estranged lover alleged that Mbeki is a man of vast wealth. Child, please, can you believe it? Who claimed that he could spend 1 million rand a day from the proceeds of his British aerospace shares. Wherever. And we're not supposed to be like that. Yes, and who bought $2.5 million in $2.5 million mentioned in Mauritius, which he still owns. Hi guys, I hope you're in London. Shamira Mohammed, who says she started an intimate relationship with Mbeki in 2005, but has been his friend for 30 years, is fighting Mbeki's attempt to evict her from a 3 million rand house in Denver, Johannesburg, that they jointly own and have lived in since 2007. Mbeki's think tank Mbeki's think tank, the Forum for Public Dialogue, is engaged in a labor court case of unfair dismissal after Mbeki pleading poverty. Pleading poverty moved to retrench all 3 staff members. In the court, if the court rules in favor of the employees, the Forum and Mbeki are likely to be collectively liable to pay the 1.6 million to settle their 2-year contracts. The Forum's main funder withdrew support after Mbeki's clash with his former chief executive officer, Prince Mashele, in relation to a Cosatu shop steward study that Mashele claimed Mbeki helped to delay when it was supposed to be released. Yosana. Mbeki has threatened to sue this newspaper for 20 million rand for publishing the contents of Mashele's resignation letter and allegations that he delayed the release of the study to protect his business and interest. Mbeki is also executive chairperson of television production company Endemol South Africa and deputy chairperson of the South African Institute of International Affairs, an independent think tank based at Wits University. One of the top brains behind Agang SA, Mbeki is said to be one of the top brains behind the formation of Agang SA, a political platform led by former anti-apartheid activist and businesswoman Mamphela Ramphele. Mohammed claims Mbeki is conducting a strategized ploy of harassment, intimidation, and outright bullying to drive her out of the house and has launched court action in a bid to bully her and her children into submission on his terms and to punish her for taking the decision to end the relationship. In his motion to evict, Mbeki alleges that Mohammed and her 2 children, Zayad Khan 18 and Feroz Khan 23, are making his occupation of the house untenable. He says he is not allowed to free and unfettered access and that Khan boys are openly belligerent and aggressive towards him, making him feel like an unwanted guest. They also used an alarming amount of electricity and water, which he had to pay for. Mohammed also regularly sent him abusive and harassing SMSs. He has asked the South Gauteng High Court to grant an eviction order. He also wants Mohammed to sign over a 50% share of the property to him, arguing that she has breached their verbal agreement to pay half the deposit, bond repayments, and other costs associated with the purchase of the property. Mohammed, and former journalist and head of Oxfam South Africa, who now works as a development consultant, is challenging this, claiming Mbeki gave her joint ownership of the house and promised to bear all associated costs to assure her of his commitment to their relationship. Yes, yakala manje. She said she had demanded this because Mbeki had a patent for casual relationships with women, which were invariably loose arrangements underpinned by some cohabitation arrangements in rented premises. Once the relationship ended, as it invariably did, Mbeki would move to a new rented premises. Your son would move to new rented premises. Sorry guys, so sorry, because this is, yeah, it's very interesting for me. and his confidant and bosom pal for more than 30 years. She was, or as his confidant and bosom pal for more than 30 years, she was aware that he had been married and divorced twice, and that before they became intimate, he was seeing 2 other women at the same time. She made it clear that their relationship could not involve a similar casual arrangement. To indicate this good faith, Mbeki first proposed marriage, which she refused. Mohammed said he then purchased the house for both of them with a separate wing to give her children space. My joint ownership of the property, expense-free, was the fulfillment of the applicant's Mbeki promise and show of good faith and commitment to our relationship in the long term, and stood because he expressly wanted it to. As my security and substitute for the benefits that would normally flow from a civil marriage. Yes, Anna. As she still co-owns the house, she says that she is entitled to live there until an amicable resolution over the disposal of the property on equitable terms is reached. In her disposition, Mohammed claims that Mbeki told her that he had enough money to support her and the children thanks to his various business dealings, and intimated that from dividends of his shares in British Aerospace alone, he could easily spend R1 million a day without exhausting his funds. Child, this must be nice, but scrap BEE, yo! She was unaware of his vast wealth, which he did not try to hide. Later in their relationship, he purchased a house in Mauritius for $2.5 million in cash, which was renovated under Mohammed's supervision. Mbeki knew that she was still paying off a bond of her own Senton house and had financial obligations towards her school-going sons. To alleviate her fears and his concerns that she would not be able to afford a house should anything happen to him, he also took out a policy on his life with the Momentum Group, making her the sole beneficiary. She says this would pay the outstanding bond bond upon his death, effectively giving her ownership of the property. Hey, this love was something else. Mohammed denies any obligation under the cohabitation agreement to bear costs associated with the house. In terms of the agreement, she says Mbeki had covered all costs up to the present, while she had to supplement the household running costs while she was employed. In her counterclaim, Mohammed says Mbeki has made her living conditions difficult by throwing his weight around by constantly insinuating that her and her boys squatters in his house and openly and belligerently verbalizing his intolerance of their presence. She says he has refused to communicate even in writing on simple housekeeping and safety issues. Mbeki had also demanded advance notice of visits by guests or family and said that no one should stay in the house for longer than 3 days without his consent. The demand was ludicrous and infringement of their right to socialization, and association, he said. Guys, Mbeki appends some of Mohammed's SMSs to his application. One dated May 17, 2012 says, "The great thing about it, the dispute being in court, is I can make sure all media is there. I think it will be fun." Yo, sana. Mujalo abantu baba rich owanyisa shem. In her deposition, Mohammed denies the messages are harassing or intimidating, arguing that her last communication dated June 2012 spoke of healing our friendship over a cup of coffee. In a fresh affidavit filed last month, Mbeki says Mohammed's entire affidavit is inaccurate, but that would be a fruitless exercise to deal with each and every allegation. Justifying the actions, he says that Mohammed has her own property in South Africa and has packed and is ready to move to a moment of notice. In addition to her children are adults and are quite capable of finding jobs to pay for their own accommodation. Contacted this week for a further response, Mbeki refused to comment. Explosion of military millions. That's the part that I like the most. Mbeki Moeletsi was an early beneficiary of the Black Economic Empowerment policy he now criticizes, ironically because of the military expertise built up under the apartheid state and then sold off cheaply by firms wanting to distance themselves from its legacy. Yes, and in July 2001, the Mail and Guardian reported that Mbeki was a partner in a company poised to buy into Vickers OMC, formerly Reumac OMC. Sorry guys if I didn't pronounce that very well. The South African company responsible for the designing and building some of the country's most effective armored vehicles, including the mine-protected Nyala, the Rooikat, and the Oliphant tank. In the mid-1999, Reumac OMC had been sold by the South African defense conglomerate Reunert to the British defense company Vickers for 120 million rand, reportedly with the proviso that Vickers bring on board an empowerment partner. But no, when it's our turn, scrap BEE. By that stage, it was known that the government had decided not to go ahead with the acquisition of new battle tanks, which were part of the original arms deal procurement proposal, but had fallen by the wayside because of the overall cost of the defense acquisition program. Mbeki and the former AMSCO chairperson and ANC KwaZulu-Natal treasurer Liza Mje put together a bid for 25% of the South African company. When Mbeki's involvement became public in 2001, it was controversial because Vickers OMC stood to benefit directly from the arms deal because of its ownership of the South African company Gear Ratio, which was part of the bid to supply gearboxes for the 4 new corvettes bought by the Navy. The MNG revealed that a committee chaired by the Department of Defense Chief of Procurement Chippy Sheikh had overturned a technical preference for a competing foreign supplier because of the strategic need to support Gear Ratio. The deal was also controversial because it was part funded by a loan to Mje by the Industrial Development Corporation, while he was its chairperson. Yo, guys, Mje applied for the loan before being appointed chairperson. Okay, a bit fair. The deal was finally signed in March 2002, giving Mbeki, Mje, and another shareholder, Khapametsi Malike, 25% of the company for just 25 million rand. By that stage, the 9/11 attacks had taken place. The invasion of Afghanistan was in full swing, and invasion of Iraq was on the horizon. The South African armored vehicle manufacturer was perfectly positioned to profit from the West engagement in several war against insurgents, for whom mine and projectile attacks against convoys and patrol vehicles was a major tactic. Vickers was taken over by another British firm, Elvis PLC, in August 2002, and finally by BAE Systems in 2004. Exports from what's now known as BAE Systems Land Systems South Africa have grown dramatically. And 2007 article quoted the company as saying that since BAE System bought a major share in the company in 2004, Land Systems South Africa annually turnover had quadrupled from 300 million to more than 1.2 billion in 2006. And 2009 article quoted the company as saying exports are totaled at 4.34 billion since 2003. Okay, guys. So guys, did you see that? Now that is this was about toilet, they don't want us to eat kengo, they just don't want to eat. So I just wanna go back to what he said about BEE when he said scrap the BEE. We want businesses of the people that we did not work for, blah 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 blah. And you later discover that this is a person that benefited from the BEE hugely, that he doesn't want us to benefit from. I was upset when I listened to him saying the things that he was saying. So what I want to tell you now is my story, and I'm going to keep it short. You know the gatekeeping that we face because we don't have the means of production. I'm the person that is in the textile industry, business-wise, and I like what I'm doing. I make beautiful, beautiful things, sports things, you know. And I don't want to bring them here. We're going to meet them on the streets. I don't want to bring them here. I don't want to be like Elon Musk mixing my brand with political issues. I don't want to be like him. Can afford to do that. He has a lot of money. Us who are still building ourselves cannot play like that. So we are on our own. I pushed and pushed and pushed, approaching these big retailers, you see, that are in the textile industry. One woman looking for emails, the contact numbers, everything, sending emails. Some no one respond, and the others respond telling you no, we cannot. And they have these forms that you fill online that just throw you out immediately because you don't qualify. You just say, okay, I make beautiful things, but I don't have the capacity that they are looking for. So there is no way I can do this. You see, you fill that form and it kicks you out. You just see you cannot get anywhere like this. Until I presented to one top retailer that deals with activewear and all of that. Let me tell you something. They loved my stuff. Kakulu. And I was supposed to have been in partnership with them long time ago. But up to this day is not happening because I still don't have the means of production. The relationship with them is good because they can see that I produce high quality things that go in line with the things that they sell. But I cannot because of means of production. You keep knocking in this knocking at the doors of the manufacturers that have the capacity, and they ask themselves, why do they need you when they do that themselves? So we end up not getting anywhere, and the gatekeeping becomes so easy, you can't move. And you go look for funding from women empowerment, the mirage that is called BEE, you still don't get help. Because even then when you get there, they want you to have something. Do you think if I had land, I wouldn't have used that to get the funds that I need to start my own factory? Why wouldn't I do that? Why wouldn't I do that? We have absolutely nothing. And the expropriation of land that people are fighting against so much, our own land was expropriated in this democratic dispensation. It was expropriated. We had cornfields, we had that, you know, we used to have, but now when you get there, we no longer have that. All that was replaced by the grant. No one wanted to work in the fields anymore. People relied on the grant, which I still criticize our own government, even though the grant is good, because I grew up without even having a 20 cent. You ask your neighbor for 20 cents and your neighbor doesn't have. You see, it is good to have that grant, but everything comes, it should be accompanied by education, telling people that, look, this is not where your life is supposed to end. This is the means to assist you to be able to live. Do other things. Send people working. Just, you know, just have campaigns. As you campaign when you want votes, campaign. Let people be aware that everybody has to do something except waiting for a grant. Did you see the numbers of the people that Abaku grant in South Africa? Did you see them? And we think that is healthy, because that money cannot build your life. It cannot. So what I'm saying is, we have people like your Moeletsi, Mbeki, the get to interviews and be like, scrap BEE, yet they benefited from it. And now is our time to be getting that BEE. Though we don't get it. We don't get that BEE. We don't. We really don't get anything. We really don't. Even this thing that some white people think we are benefiting because we are black, we are not getting anything. Did you see? Did you hear that? We are not getting anything. With that said, okay guys, I just wanted to share that I was not happy with that interview and the things that Mbeki says sometimes in these interviews. I'm happy when he criticizes the ANC. I'm happy when he talks about the fact that the 1994 ushered in an era that built the middle class, and that our leaders are there to take care of themselves. I'm happy with those, but don't come and attack us. We are still out here trying to build ourselves, and that is not happening. Sure. If you watched up to here, thank you for watching my videos. And please, next time when you bump into my videos, kindly watch my ads in full. It really goes a long way. If you're on Wi-Fi and you have the time, please watch my videos in full.